What is up, Robot Wars, BattleBots, and BuggleBots fans alike? Hardcore Kid here with another edition of the Hardcore Podcast. We're going to be reviewing episode 5, Heat E, of Robot Wars Extreme Warriors Season 2, and which was a interesting episode to say the least. And joining me as always, he loves women the way he loves his robots. Big, sexy, and weighing in at 19 stone, it's Otaku Nate.
At this moment, I never realized just how beautiful this world is. And I butchered that quote, but I don't care. Can you tell that I've been playing a lot of Nier Automata lately?
Yeah,
because, oh my god. Hey, it's not my fault that game is too good right now.
You finally got the proper ending?
The true ending. And I haven't gotten all of the endings yet.
So you're gonna keep playing the game until you get all 26 or whatever?
Yeah, it's not that hard though. Like, most of the endings you just get by not doing what you're supposed to do.
Alright, well, good luck, soldier. Joining us...
Glory to mankind.
Also joining us, we have Other Nate, Nate Franklin.
Hello.
Hello. How are you tonight?
Doing all right. Just ate dinner and I'm ready to talk about robots, so that's nice.
Nice. And last but not least, we have ResettisReplicas. Ian, how you doing over there?
Doing good. Hashtag quicksand to England.
Yeah? You gonna be representing America over there for BuggleBots?
I sure hope I am.
Yeah, we need some good American representatives to compete at BuggleBots because the American representatives we got in this episode, oh boy. Oh my goodness. You know, there's a funny story. John Cariotti, who's the captain of Team Basenji, I believe he was he uploaded the first fights of Extreme Warriors to YouTube, which was the opening match with Rosie, Basenji, and Night Stalker, and also Basenji versus Darkness. And if you were to look at the comments sections, you'd see all these fans going, "Oh, bloody hell, what are these crap robots? They stole the Robot Wars arena! Who is this nutter Yankee doing the commentary?" Yeah.
Hey, don't go hitting on Stefan Frank.
Well, you know, back then, you know how everybody was so... You know what?
We will always, and I will say always come out in defense of Stefan Frank.
He's better than the guy they had dubbed the reboot.
No, let's not go there.
Yeah, but this episode featured some very, very poor robots, including the possible PS Day Shit Forever candidate. But
the sad thing is, this isn't even the weakest heat yet.
Yeah.
The worst is yet to come.
Yeah. I will say this, there were moments in this episode I liked for sometimes the wrong reasons, but you know what? I will say this, out of the 6 machines in this heat, the right robot definitely won. And that is, representing the good old US of A, he's a whole lot of robot, it's Rosie the Riveter 2.
Rosie the Riveter 2. Sawbot.
And Wedge, don't forget the Wedge.
Yeah.
Oh, well then. Wedge.
Yeah, Rosie the Riveter 2, it's the newest addition from Team Juggerbot, and, to be fair, the original Rosie had problems, obviously, with their speed controllers, because you see it fighting, and it's just going forwards and backwards and couldn't do anything. But...
I was about to say, they actually got it to work this time.
Yes, yeah. And it definitely helps that they now have a wedge, because the original Rosie didn't really have a weapon, unless you consider the little metal bit at the front a weapon. But, yeah, this version, I like this version a lot.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I'm just glad they got rid of those spikes that kept getting them stuck in the ground.
They have the spikes that they have, like, you know the iron battering ram that the original Rosie had, and now has like 3 of it at the back as quote unquote wedge killers. I don't know how they're supposed to work, since they eventually did fight a wedge and still managed to get under them. But yeah, Rosie, it looks good. I love the World War II gimmick or World War I gimmick.
It's World War II.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rosie the Riveter was introduced in World War II for all of the women who had to work in the factories and what have you, because all of their men were shipped overseas to fight in Europe.
And fun fact, Chris Gatman's grandmother put put planes together in World War II, so this is a nice little tribute. Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as the weaponry goes, I'm not, because believe it or not, Rosie actually does do damage in this episode, but I'm not sure if it's from the saw or the actual wedge, or just the fact that the robots it faced were kind of rinky-dink.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's that bit you mentioned.
I don't know. Well, still, whatever. Hey, damage is better than nothing, and yeah. What else is there to say about Rosie? Anything?
It's a well-built machine. It's well-driven. I like it because it's a quick wedge bot. It pushes its people around the arena, and I love fast, pushy wedges.
Yep, everybody loves their fast, pushy wedge bots. The slow, pushy wedge bots, And you know what? In this business, it don't matter if your robot's fast or slow sometimes. But if you're too slow, then you're going to have some problems. But, yeah, with that said, Rosie, real good job. Love the teammanship from the team. They still got their uniforms on for the war gimmick. I want to make a Tank Bowl reference. Nate, can you make a Tank Bowl reference?
Prepare yourselves for Tank Bowl!
All right. Yeah, but yeah, definitely the right robot won this heat. But we must move on to the other robots in this episode. And, well, this heat finalist, I will say it too has personality, not so much in weaponry. From Acton, California, we have Darkness.
The Darkness. Hello, Darkness, my old friend.
Darkness!
I've come to talk with you again.
Aha! You know what? You know what Rick James loved to call Charlie Murphy and Eddie Murphy? He called them Darkness. And yeah, but we'll take the Dave Chappelle references aside because why not? This robot, when I first saw it, I thought it was a successor to Skullmania.
I thought the same thing. I thought it was Skullmania too.
Because it had the skull on top, which it looks cool, but what if this thing gets flipped over? Is it just going to get stuck on the skull?
Actually, I just want to say this right now, and I'm going to beat both Ian and Nate to it. We get the biggest goof of the entire episode. They say the Darkness is two-wheel drive.
I think I rewatched the episode. I think what they mean is it looked to me like only two of the wheels were actually powered by motors, and the other two were just sort of like caster. Because
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, that's
because it doesn't turn as nicely as like Rosie and other four-wheel drive bots do. So
yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. I think maybe it's kind of like a car where all the drive is to the back two wheels, and I guess it's just. I don't know if they have belts going to the front wheels or they're just there as sort of like a caster of some sort, but yeah. It's definitely got the goth gimmick. I like this. It's got the skull and the flags. The weaponry is a different story. What are these spinners on the front?
They basically said, "Hey, what if we took Shredder's weapon and made it more crap?"
I fought a robot at this past weekend called the Maw. That had two spinners exactly like Darkness.
Except it was good.
That thing is much better than this thing, because the weaponry...
I think the dual disc system works on smaller weight classes, not so much on the heavies.
No. Like maybe if you had two big ass like Smidsy style spinners or something like Shredder, you could probably have more...
Just have one.
Or
have one.
Yeah,
if you have to do two discs on a single bot, it has to be stance revolution. There are nothing else.
Yeah, and it's like the discs are too small. They broke off just by getting wedged into, and it's never really caused any serious damage. As far as ramming goes, it's good at ramming. At doing damage, no. But
Yeah.
Ian, what'd you think of Darkness?
It sure is good at falling apart.
Breakaway saws. Yeah, and Valak Sykes,
Yeah, breakaway saws, that's a thing.
breakaway saw. Valak Sykes, he definitely has personality. That's definitely what you need in the this series. But he matches, like when you look at this machine, I think he may have gone more goth, but instead he goes for more like a biker gimmick. So yeah.
So he basically went from Ministry of Darkness to American Badass.
You know what? He still does the gimmick better than the geeks on the Falcon team later on the series. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they would have called it a Mad Max thing if the Mad Max movie had existed back then.
I'd love to see maybe somebody build a battle bot that resembles something like you'd see the vehicles.
Wait, Ian, I just have to say this. Ian, Mad Max has been around since the 80s, you twit.
if I'd love to see someone make a robot based on Fury Road. Maybe have like something covered in spikes and have like a big a guitar gun that shoots flames. That would be awesome.
I think Orion Beach, one of the guys from like Scorpios and Rex.
Yes.
He does this thing called like Wasteland Weekends, I think it's called, and it's like, and he does like a little like robot combat sort of thing, and the whole event is sort of like Mad Max sort of themed. So I think that'd be worth checking out. But yeah, I'd definitely love to see something like that in future bots. I think if you get past like the copyright, it might work on BattleBots, but that's a big if.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that'd be cool to see. Let's fight robots in the middle of a giant desert. Awesome.
I don't think it would work, given that
put
those
it on
wheels.
A platform, not on sand.
Oh, okay.
What do you think this is? Robotica? Yeah. So that was Darkness. It did stuff, and we'll move on to the second round finisher and another decent wedge machine, Basenji.
Basenji. Wedge again.
Yeah, the weaponry is a 6-inch hole saw at the back, which
that kept falling off.
I think they just put that there just to say they had a weapon.
Yeah.
Because in all honesty, it just looks like a giant heavyweight D2, just a big wedge at the front, wheels at the side. Yeah, it's like when I heard that Captain Doom was going to be in BuggleBots, I thought, I don't know, was Tyler going to put like a weapon on the back, maybe like a spinner at the back? No, they did the spikes thing, but yeah. But Basenji, it's got good speed and power, but the wheels, they brought tires into the arena, which was a no.
Well, it's not like the case where the spinner knocked them all off. Oh, we'll get to how they fall off.
Yeah.
Yeah, Basenji apparently was originally a middleweight from BattleBots that didn't last very long because it came out. Yeah, didn't last very long, so it came out looking all clean and pristine. So what else are you going to do with it besides go to the one where they pay you for it?
And I remember first seeing this in Nickelodeon, and this was before I saw Tornado and Storm 2, and I was impressed by how fast it was. It just goes whoosh, straight across the arena, just slamming into each other. It could have won the Annihilator if they didn't go full Reed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a shame, but it's a cool looking little wedge. And John Cariotti, he actually ran his own robot event in Syracuse for a few years. The Upstate New York Robot Conflict at a mall in Syracuse, New York. I wanted to enter it one year, but unfortunately I had to go to a cruise.
I gotta say this though, John Cariotti's got a killer stash, and you know me, I love guys with great stashes.
Yeah.
How much?
Tony Iommi stash.
Tony Iommi stash, the Lemmy stash, if you want to call it that.
Lemmy beard. That's what they call it, the Lemmy beard.
And which is actually not an original because that sort of hairdo was worn by Civil War General Burnside. Burnside.
Oh wow, that is awesome. That is a hell of a beard right there.
Yeah, put the image up for people who are too lazy to use Google image search.
Oh, I'm definitely putting that up. Burnside. That actually sounds like a good name for a robot. Burnside.
Well, there is a transformer by the name of Sideburn.
Oh, there you go.
And we've gotten off track. But let's get back to Basenji.
I know, John, well, Brandon knows better than me, but he did a lot of events in, like, the Northeast, like you were mentioning. I remember meeting him at one of the Franklin Institute events, one of the first events I actually saw in person, and he actually gave me a magnet with Basenji on it, which I'll have to snap a picture for it, and you can put it up for the episode. And
nice.
Yeah, he was a really nice guy. Yeah.
Now, apparently, Basenji continued fighting, and it now had a lifting arm at the back.
Yeah.
And I think did it win an event?
I don't know, but I know it was at Fuzzy's Robot Club and Grill.
Yeah, it's a shame that didn't last long, but hey, that's cool.
Yeah, Fuzzy says in his own words, it's hard to run a restaurant that's only open 12 days a year.
Oh dear.
Well, that's how often they could make the events realistically.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that pretty much does it for Basenji. You know what? I'm not ready to talk about Techno Trousers. Let's do the first rounders first. Let's talk about Mechadroid.
Mechadroid. Control bot. I wanted this thing to do well.
God.
I wanted this thing
so
to
shafted.
Win. Yeah.
Why did you have to do that, Darkness? Why?
Because Darkness...
He's the heel.
He's evil. He
God
had to...
damn it, Darkness. You could have given us a much better second round. Instead, you gave us fucking Techno Trousers.
It's, as far as Mechadroid goes, you all right there, Nate? You had a good cry?
Let's give him a minute. We'll give him a minute.
I'll talk about Mechadroid. I will say this. I like the idea of the axe. Basically, if it gets flipped upside down, it's an axe. If it gets flipped upside down, it can just use like the pick at the back to use it on the other side. That's a good. It's a good idea in theory.
It looks like its axe is more akin to that of Mortis than, say, Terahertz.
Yeah.
In that it strikes quickly rather than powerfully.
Yeah, and the big problem is that because of that, the axe really doesn't have all that much power to it. Like, yeah, the stat board says powerful axe and pick, but the axe really looks like it's like camshaft power. It just comes down and then just can't really do any digging or anything. And I just realized I've watched both of its matches, and I realized this: the actual pick, the grabbing claws, they're not actually powered; they're static. So
really,
yeah. When I first saw it, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's a grabber like Splinter. No,
yeah, I thought the same thing.
They're just there to hold. They're just like they're hinged, just to like hold on to make sure an opponent is in front of them, and then hit him with the axe. And I get the idea. Unfortunately, it kind of leads to its downfall, because if you look right when it's putting Techno Trousers into the pit, its claw gets stuck in its leg, so it can't get away, and that just allowed Darkness to push it into the pit.
Oh,
so,
you're right.
Yeah. It's a shame, and I like the design and I like the team. It's just they just had so much bad luck. They've fallen foul of this hole in the floor in both of its matches. And it's better than Red Virus, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. In that its weapons actually work.
It works and actually can move, but it just got hit by the curse of the pit. And Ian, what do you think of Mechadroid?
Very, very aesthetic design, rather. I like the eyes. They're a nice touch.
I remember you made a version of this in Robot Arena 2, and you actually gave it active claws, didn't you?
Yeah, I wasn't aware that they were non-moving.
No. I think I wonder, can Robot Arena 2 actually make the axe work either way up?
Not very well. The only way to do it is with a servo motor that moves really slowly.
Oof. Well, It would move at about the same. It would move at about the same speed as the real thing, probably.
Yeah. The other issue is that the AI wouldn't recognize that kind of system, like be the opposite way up when the robot's inverted.
Yeah. Nate, Other Nate, what'd you think of Mechadroid?
No, I thought it was pretty. I didn't actually know the what you were telling me about the sorry, I just lost how the claws were static. I hadn't realized that until now. So, but I thought it looked neat. Obviously, it unfortunately ended up not doing so well. But yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But hey, I do applaud them for giving us a cool looking bot. So we'll move on to the other first round loser, and this thingamajig is called Night Stalker.
Night Stalker, body spinner,
and not a very good one.
No, it wasn't.
Well,
very flimsy. Didn't have a base panel.
No base panel.
Kind of important for when you're building a body spinner.
Yeah.
And strengths is listed as heavy armor. This thing fought. It fought two wedge bots, and the body shell just bent in on itself.
Also, it didn't secure its batteries properly.
Oh yeah! Oh my God! Those giant, what is it? Lead acid batteries just hanging out of the bottom of the bot.
It's like when you're watching a really violent cartoon, and one of the characters gets hit, and their teeth are hanging out by their nerve endings.
Yeah.
That's nasty.
Grody. Yeah, Night Stalker.
And that happened a lot in Cow and Chicken.
I still remember seeing a lot of eyeballs and teeth hanging out by their nerve endings. So yeah, that was the equivalent of this. So Night Stalker, it's a full-bodied spinner. The actual teeth on it only weigh 6 pounds. There's no base plate. Also, the shell doesn't look like it's properly attached to the body, since it looked like it was starting to lift up. It's kind of a mess. But, yeah. You there?
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful mess.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I applaud them for building a full-bodied spinner, since I think if they had there was definitely room for improvement. Like they could have maybe made the teeth bigger so that it could have more bite, and also have a base plate so that Rosie couldn't get under it and just have the electronics just flop out. And also the body shell could have been heavier since it just bent.
Yeah.
But even with that said, it is not the worst robot in the episode.
Nor the worst robot in the series.
Or the series. And you want to talk about Techno Trousers now?
Oh.
Are you up to it?
I don't know. How about you, Ian, Mr. Massachusetts?
I'm up for it.
All right. Let's do this. Techno Trousers, utter pants.
Oh yes, this thing.
Oh my God, what is this robot?
It is a.
Oh, this looks like something Team Death would have come up with.
Except I've seen Team Death's machines, and they held up better than this.
Actually, no, I take that back. Team Death's machines, not only were they sturdy, they were at least interesting to look at.
Yeah, this is...
And they were good for comedy, too. What is the purpose of Techno Trousers? They seriously thought that they could beat someone with this thing.
I'm actually amazed that they qualified.
I know, me too, right?
All right, so Techno Trousers, it's a robot shaped like a pair of pants. It's got 2 suspender things at the back. It's got a lance at the front powered by a truck spring that makes it pop out. You know what? Lance Storm could come up with a better weapon than this.
Oh my God, this thing. Well, also, can I just talk about this? You know how that one column someone wrote about Robot Wars saying that the worst robot from Series 7 could have won Series 1? I don't think Techno Trousers could have made it past the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
God.
like,
You look at how awkward that thing is shaped, how that weapon just sticks out, making it easy to get stuck on things. I don't think the weapon could actually damage anything except human flesh. It's slow. It can't steer properly. God, this thing!
Yeah,
Oh, God.
that's really the thing. Like, I could get past the weapon being cack if it weren't for one big problem with Techno Trousers. It can barely move. This thing, like, as soon as it started entering the arena, it's going so slowly. I swear it's moving at 11 speed with how it was coming out there. Like, you could build, you know what? You could build a giant wooden box. You could build something like whatever that wooden robot from Series 8 was. I forget the name of it. But
Overdoser.
Yeah, Overdoser.
It moved for a bit.
Hey, here's the thing, though. Overdoser was at least built as a joke. Nick White wrote down on the entry sheet, "We don't know how to build a robot."
Seriously? Oh, my God.
They were sincere about it. Techno Trousers, as I said, it's entirely it was built to be serious. It's like Spam from Series 6 of Robot Wars. Like, how are you supposed to win with this thing?
Like, there are a lot of nudniks on the internet who always say, oh, this is the worst robot ever. Like, oh, Foxic is the worst robot ever. Napalm is the worst robot ever. You know what?
Well, they're not wrong about Napalm.
At least Napalm could move. At least when Napalm was in Series 2, it completed a gauntlet and it made it to the semifinals. You know what? At least it could move. Like Techno Trousers, I cannot. It can barely move. The armor is a joke. The weapon can't really do anything. It's heavy, slow, terrible, awful. You know, I had a whole rant set up for this, and you said everything I was going to say, Nate.
Well, that's because I'm better on the mic than you are, man.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, really. Why do you think you want me to come with you to BattleBot so I can be your mouthpiece?
Oh.
Do I have to separate you two?
Oh, I'm coming over there. Ma, get the keys.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but Techno Trousers, it is definitely something to behold. And
Oh yeah, can I say something related to it in Nickelodeon?
yes, because this was actually the first time I ever saw it was in the Nickelodeon series.
Yeah, me too.
And it didn't move. It didn't move there either.
Yeah. What I want to say is that like they figured out the ultimate solution to all the problems they've been having. And you know what the solution was?
What's that?
They doubled up on the spikes.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, there's a very funny moment in in that Mayhem fight where.
Oh yeah. Well,
at the
don't
end,
spoil it. Don't spoil it.
Don't spoil it. Well, I will say this.
We'll get to it later.
And
Okay.
also another thing to note, but Techno Trousers is in fact famous because you know how in Series 6 and 7 they show footage from the Nickelodeon series and they show doing the accent. So yeah, Techno Trousers has snuck its way into Robot Wars many times than you'd think.
Wasn't it
and
in
you
the
said
intro?
it was good for nothing.
It's in the intro. You see a Humdrum getting eaten, and then Shunt ramming Rosie and Tut Tut, and then you see the Shunt axing it, and then Dead Metal. Yeah. So this thing somehow got more appearances. Yeah.
I don't know how they ended up with like all Nickelodeon footage in their UK intro to Robot Wars.
I wonder how many UK guys when they first watched Series 6 and 7 were thinking, who the hell are these robots when they saw that intro? Yeah.
I mean, I don't think like at that time they all had encyclopedic knowledge, so they just assumed it was something.
I at least recognized some of the footage.
I recognized all of it.
We're fortunate enough to be living in the age of the wikis where we know like everything about every robot, so we can like bam bam bam. Oh, I know all these robots.
Yeah, we have just as much of an encyclopedia knowledge as Liz Man, so it's good. So I guess we'll move on to the fighting. We
need to have Liz on our show one day, see if we can stump her.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. So we'll move on to the actual matches. Little fun story about this first match. You know that book that you gave me, Nate? The Robot Wars guidebook? There are actually screenshots from this first match in the book. There's like an overhead shot of looking down on...
yeah, I remember that.
And they also have Kill-A-Lot holding up Night Stalker with the batteries hanging out. That's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't this like didn't you say that this was one of the first fights ever uploaded to YouTube from Extreme Warriors?
Yes, I believe this was the first ever fight. And oh, what a first match to start with. Two wedge bots taking on a body spinner that can't work. And to be fair though, Night Stalker did do damage. It took out the tiny hole saw on the back of Basenji.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the match was just Basenji and Rosie picking on it, shoving it around, getting it right into Kill-A-Lot, and Kill-A-Lot lifts it up. The batteries are hanging out. It's dead at this point. Yeah, it's not a great match, but it's still a lot of fun just watching just parts fall out everywhere. You know, it's grotesque but lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? Let's start with Nate. Other Nate. You want to start with what did you think of this match?
I thought it was all right. I thought it was pretty funny seeing Night Stalker getting like basically gutted. I don't know. It was all right. I mean, I think like Rosie the Riveter is honestly one of my favorite bots from like the all of Robot Wars. So I thought it was nice seeing it just dominate. But yeah, it was all right. Can't really say much about it other than it is what it is.
Yeah. How about you, Ian?
Night Stalker looked pretty intimidating, like before they said the word go. So I thought they'd have this. I like how they were able to spin a little after their frame was completely twisted up and nothing was level anymore.
And Nate, how about you? What did you think of this masterpiece?
Well, I thought it was entertaining once Darkness got counted out and got destroyed by Sir Kill-A-Lot.
And and then Kill-A-Lot just burns it and tosses it out of the arena. I'm actually amazed the batteries didn't blow up.
Yeah.
And but this isn't the last we'll see of Night Stalker. They actually do come back for the House Robot Rebellion, and guess who they fight there? Rosie again. Yeah. They just can't catch a break with this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Night Stalker gets OOTA'd, and we move on to the second match. If you even want to call this a match, it's Darkness versus Techno Trousers versus
I'll
Mechadroid.
take care of this.
So are we going to need to physically restrain Nate?
I don't know.
Alrighty. So, where do I begin with this? Well, so it's all right. Dead air, Mechadroid, Techno Trousers, and
Darkness.
So the Darkness and Mechadroid are shoving Techno Trousers around the arena. Mechadroid gets a few good shots in on Techno Trousers and Darkness, and then the pit opens up. Mechadroid is pushing Techno Trousers towards it, when from out of nowhere, Darkness comes in and shoves Mechadroid down the pit.
Yeah.
No,
Denied.
no, that's it. I'm done. Done. Fuck this episode.
And if it
quit. I'm done. Fuck it.
Nate has just gone full Yinzer right now.
So we're getting the TVMA rating for this one.
Well, at least I don't have to worry about monetization. Because I have no monetization. But, yeah, and if it you want to be even more pissed off, Nate? Techno Trousers was immobilized the whole time, so Mechadroid...
Oh my god!
it got
yes! Worse!
It was definitely, like, the entire second half. Like, Techno Trousers was still dead the second half of the match, and the only reason they got to go through was because they were still being pushed around, and it technically counted as movement.
Oh my god!
This show sucks.
Oh god.
And of course, because we can't have an episode without somebody going full read, Darkness drives itself into the pit after Mechadroid.
Oh my god. Did the judges say, hey, the Techno Trousers, it wasn't really moving? Like, couldn't they have at least called a technicality?
I don't know what to tell you, man.
I've kind of accepted the fact that for like the full however many seasons of like the original Robot Wars, the judges like half the time had no idea what was going on. Like when it'd be like, oh, like one bot falls into the pit, but oh, the other bot, like something like with the track fell off. Oh, like it's crazy. At this point, I'm not even shocked.
Yeah. And you know, for the longest time, this was the only match that from this episode that wasn't on YouTube, and eventually, we did get it on YouTube, and then you see it, and it's just as horrific as we can imagine.
It's awful. Oh.
Yeah.
People like to talk about like Duck getting screwed in the Last Chance Rumble, but like, okay, this is pretty bad. Like, I don't know. I don't think the guy who ran Red Viper or this bot
Mechadroid.
or Mechadroid and Hal Rucker want to have a who got screwed the most contest, but I mean, you could tell that like it's pretty even at that point. I'm not sure who'd get the win, but yeah.
We better call the NERC guys and tell them to send a giant screw award. Give Walter Martinez a giant banana. So Mechadroid gets the ultimate screw job and ends up in the pit and out, and Darkness and Techno Trousers go through. And so we move on to the round 2 fights. It's Rosie the Riveter 2 versus Techno Trousers. And
Rosie the Riveter pushes Techno Trousers around the arena, and it dies. The end.
There is some good news. I will say there is some good news. After 5 episodes, Matilda finally returns, and she has her chainsaw tail with her. Because they went...
Too bad she didn't have her flywheel.
Indeed, yeah.
If she had her flywheel, Techno Trousers would be vanquished. It would be split in half. I'll tell you that right now.
Pants.
It would be ripped jeans.
Ripped pants. Yeah, but
yeah, like all the kids are wearing.
But no, this was just like, and to be fair, Techno Trousers did get a chance to use its weapon, and it did nothing. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I like if you were to compare this thing to like Double Jeopardy. At least Double Jeopardy's little round actually did stuff. Like, it broke Mecha Rampage's disc thingy. Techno Trousers, it fired the lance, and Rosie went scurrying away, but it didn't do anything. This was just Rosie playing with a pair of pants, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, the shaft. It was
the shaft.
Like, I don't know what it was. No, the shaft on Techno Trousers' lance. Like, what was that made of? Because looked like when it looked like basically any solid hit would just bend it and wreck the entire weapon.
Yeah. This. Well, I give credit to Rosie. They tried to make this fight as interesting as possible, just getting under it, pushing it around, carrying it around, slamming it into the wall, slamming it into dead metal, and like as far as showmanship goes, they did what they could with this thing. And finally, they put it out of its misery by pushing it into the pit. Where could you imagine if Techno Trousers just got? And the best part is they actually like Techno Trousers got stuck on the pit. And they had to actually wait for it to go completely in to...
Oh, God.
So, too big for the pit. But yeah, finally it was out. And that's the end of Techno Trousers until the Nickelodeon series. But don't worry. Because they don't play much of a role in that series aside from being...
Oh, that piece of garbage is gonna get its what's for.
Yeah. So, Rosie goes through the Heat Final, and we get Darkness versus Basenji in a goddamn horrible match. Just
you guys tackle this one. I'm gonna sign out.
All right, Nate's given up.
All right.
All right. So Darkness versus Basenji. Keep the recorder going. Basically, the two bots ram into each other. Darkness loses a disc, and then all of Basenji's wheels just fall off. It's like they use those some.
Sorry.
It's like out of a cartoon. It's like something out of a cartoon where it's like we'll catch him this time, and they start the ignition, and then all the wheels fall off at once.
Like what is it, like Wacky Races?
Yeah, Wacky Races or a Speed Racer.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you don't use Loctite. You end up losing wheels. Yeah, there's not much to say. I didn't even write a whole lot of stuff for the wiki entry. I wrote like 3 sentences for this thing. Just, the fight began with both robots pushing each other around. Darkness then slammed into the side of Basenji, losing one of its own discs in the impact. By now, Basenji's wheels were starting to wobble, and both of its left wheels eventually fell right off their axles, leaving Basenji immobile. Refbot counted Basenji out, and Dead Metal buried its saw into its back. Yeah, that's pretty much the match.
Congratulations.
This was miserable, and just the fact that Basenji's wedge was actually enough to damage Darkness is sadness. This match was sadness, but it was funny. Although this was one of those times where they could have used the drop zone, because Basenji was just sitting there in the drop zone area. They only used the drop zone 3 times in this season. They didn't even bother just using it. Like they didn't have a TV or something to drop on it.
Wait, I forget. Was this was filmed simultaneously with like what is it, like the 6th season?
It was between series 5 and 6, and
okay.
They introduced the drop zone in Heat C, and they don't use it again until like the last episode. But yeah, this match was dumpster fire. But yeah, so Darkness ends up going through to the Heat final to face Rosie, and I'll be fair, I consider this the best match of the episode. What do you guys think?
It was pretty good.
It's
good back and forth fight.
Because it's 2 very mobile robots running into each other. Rosie clearly had more power. It was able to push Darkness around, lit up its flags, broke the weaponry, and yeah, that was enough to get at the decision. One other thing I have to mention, though, what is going on with the house robots in this series? Because they get Darkness into Kill-A-Lot's corner patrol zone, and the next thing you know, Dead Metal is trying to get in there as well, and Refbot has to hold him back. Like, dude, do you really need to have both house robots in the same corner at the same time? What is going on?
Yeah, maybe it's a new guy who just really wanted a chance to use Dead Metal.
Yeah, you know what? Anybody would love to drive Dead Metal.
Yeah, I think there were a couple times maybe during Extreme Warriors where they let fans drive the house bots.
I can imagine.
I know that Mike Franklin drove a Refbot in the Tetanus versus Raging Reality battle.
And apparently he was drunk when he was driving. Because he fell into the pit. But yeah, that was not much else to say about the match, really. Although seeing Kill-A-Lot holding Darkness up in his pincers is a really cool image. But yeah, this was just all Rosie. Just slamming it around. There was a really good looking slam right in the middle of the match where Darkness runs right into the wedge, and I'm not sure if it's because of the saw or because of the force they were driving into each other, but Darkness just goes flying off the wedge. So yeah, this match had its moments, and Rosie was definitely the right robot to win this match and move on to the grand final. And, yep. So yeah, so.
Yeah, I love how they have. I thought it was especially noticeable in this episode. This same sound effect for a lot of the hits. It sort of sounds like somebody is hitting a hollow metal drum.
Like we always make fun of the sound. The sound effects in Robot Wars are always to be mocked at, like the classic.
I mean,
crash
that one
sound effect.
That one in particular is. I mean, I find that funny because they use it for metal on metal, metal on Lexan, and metal on wood in Extreme Warriors.
We need to go to the sound effects website and get some more stock effects. You know, when my dad when I started doing my podcast, Dad recommended that I start using sound effects for my videos. Like maybe have some crash sound effects.
Nah.
I don't know. You could have used a lot of. You could have used a lot of crash sound effects that when Nate was walking out in anger.
At the time, he hasn't edited in post yet, so he still could.
Oh.
There's your sound effects.
Those certainly are sound effects.
Yeah. So, yeah, this episode, this was a weird episode. It's definitely middle of the road. This is where this is kind of where the quality of the series starts to drop a bit, because Heat A, like the first couple episodes were kind of meh. Heat C and D were a lot of fun. This episode is kind of middle of the road, and I think for that I'll give this episode a 5 out of 10. How would you rate it, Nate? Otaku Nate?
I was actually gonna give it a 6 or a 7, but the more I think about it, this is like a 4 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. How about you, Other Nate?
Probably a 7, I guess.
Yeah.
7.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess because I'm biased, because I like Rosie the Riveter. I think it's a neat bot because it's a wedge. So that's my biased opinion.
And as far as wedge fights go, it gave us some good wedge fights in this episode, which is sometimes it's a rarity to have good wedge fights, darling. But yeah, how about you, Ian? What'd you think of on a scale of 1 to 10? What would you give it?
I got to be critical of it too and go for 5.
Yeah.
I mean, the boring Heat that's coming up that you rag on. Well, I mean, what it has is 6 robots with all weapon systems that work. I mean, in here we have, we have like Mechadroid as basically the best active weapon in the entire show.
That's kind of sad when you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking at the scale, because Rosie Saw didn't really do anything. Night Stalker fell apart. Darkness fell apart. Basenji lost its saw. And Techno Trousers, the less we talk about it, the better. Holy shit. But
it gave them a little kick, which is actually one of the more visual effects of a weapon in this episode.
I think somebody called the Young Bucks. They could have like a super kick weapon and build their own robot.
Yeah.
I would love to see the Elite have a 4-way match on BattleBots. You know, you got the Young Bucks control robot, have Cody do one, Hangman Page with one, Kenny Omega with one.
And they can have Mick Foley as host. Yeah, that'd be fun. So, yeah, that covers Heat E. Heat F is the return of the other Juggerbot, Tricerabot, and it goes up against Discotheque, Brawler, Dragbot, The Termite, and King of Diamonds. So, yeah, that'll be for next week. In other news, the Norwalk event, Havoc event, was this past weekend. I ended up winning, and I got the coveted golden dumpster, as well as $1,000, which I'm definitely gonna need, especially since I lost my monetization and can't make money on YouTube now.
Bugglebot's money.
Bugglebot's money, yeah. So, I sent my application in, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's definitely my Bugglebot's money right now. If we go to England and try and get our independence back. So yeah. So, what else is there to say? Bugglebot's applications are still open, and they're open until April 18th. So you've got well over a month to apply and see if you get in. Build yourself a really cool robot, and if you are available from, what was it, May
28th, and it's Memorial Day weekend. I forget.
Yeah, that's
the
nice
28th and 29th.
Yeah. Memorial Day weekend, May 20th. It says May 25th and 26th. That's if you are available for those particular days, and if you want to check out some robot fighting at the University of Bristol, I believe it is.
Western
University
England.
Or UE.
UE.
That's what they.
Yeah, UE. UE.
Like Uwe Boll.
Uwe Boll. Yeah, be sure to check it out at the University of West of England, May 25th and 26th. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to that. And yeah, we're still gonna keep doing these episode reviews, and I'm not gonna be making money at least until I figure out how to get monetization back. But yeah, these episodes are still gonna keep going, and we'll see what happens. So it was great having you guys on tonight.
Yeah, it was a nice way to spend a Tuesday evening.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Nate, have you recovered?
I'm gonna go cry now.
See ya.
Dude, it happened like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Get over it.
17 years ago, almost. Like, oh my god, I was in elementary school.
Holy shit. Yeah.
Like,
I was 11. Like everybody in this show is probably like 30 or 40 by now. Yeah, but yeah. Well, until next time, I am the Hardcore Kid.
I'm Otaku Nate.
I'm Other Nate.
I'm still ResettisReplicas.
Peace out and keep your trousers on.
It's the wrong trousers, Gromit.